So the first question, and again, you guys can sort of take turns. There are no right or wrong answers. Sort of what prompted you to take the survey, and did you have any outcome expectations when you did sign up to take it?
So Pete and Jerry's is a B Corp already. And so we, obviously we're on a every 3 years we'll take the B impact survey just as like the final measure of our impact prior to recertifying. The Measure What Matters survey is really appealing because it's like an annual benchmarking that you can do for your organization. It's a little bit less intimidating and time consuming than the BIA, which was really, really appealing to us. It's just a nice kind of formalized way to track your impact across the same impact areas that B Corp looks at. So that was certainly our impetus to really just kind of take advantage of this really incredible resource that's available to us through NHBSR. Not really any expectations necessarily, just kind of using it as a way to really measure our progress year over year.
I'll go next. So Mobility Works took the Measure What Matters survey because, we were interested in figuring out how we stacked up against other companies. We've always been really proud of the work that we've done for community and for our employees. And when we took it, we realized that we actually did have a lot of things that we were doing that were good. And we also recognized some areas that we could improve, especially in areas around So it was a great way to sit down and take stock of what we were doing and to really put our money where our mouth was in terms of saying, how good are we in comparison to other companies of similar size here in New Hampshire?
Yeah, Jesse, I'll just build off that Normando really took it. When we took it, we didn't have a sustainability report yet. So it was kind of a baseline for us, an easy way to start really evaluating our sustainability efforts without having a report or anything formal. And, the few metrics it asks you to gather were so easy that it was a really great way for us to start looking at it more closely.
That was perfect. Thank you so much. Did the results surprise you? And if so, how?
I'll jump in here. Our results did surprise us. We scored really high in the DEI category, which we've really been internally kind of building our DEI program, but we haven't rolled anything out officially. So these results kind of told us that at our baseline, our policies and procedures as far as diversity, equity, inclusion are kind of ahead of the game comparatively to other businesses of similar size in New Hampshire.
I had a similar experience. I think the results of the Measure What Matters didn't necessarily surprise us in terms of where we were doing well and where we needed to improve. What surprised us was how easily accessible the options were for improving, right? For example, using things like low flow water regulators or implementing a more consistent recycling program are some of the things that make companies more environmentally sustainable. So, it reaffirmed what we knew we were doing well at and made us feel good. And then it helped give us a path to becoming a more sustainable organization overall.
Yeah, Jesse, I think the process itself, just filling it out, tells you a lot about where you can grow or, where you're thriving.
Can you talk about the process? Can you all discuss what you did and how you filled it out and who you needed to reach out to?
So at Pete and Jerry's, we had a project manager to manage the process because we needed inputs from other departments. So that was me. I was kind of the liaison between different departments. But it was not very time consuming. I think it's just a matter of kind of selecting a PM that knows who in each department is the correct resource. So I ended up just working with 2 contacts internally. HR obviously was one of them, and then we don't have a formalized like green team or sustainability team in-house. So just our contact who manages that, on top of her daytime job. And so I worked with them. We hopped on like a 1-hour call and knocked it out together. So it was really, really easy. I'm not sure if that's the case for Jesse and Marianne, but we just having worked on the BIA too, we had a lot of the answers readily available. So I think we might have cheated a little bit with the time needed.
I would say that when I first filled it out, I was new to Normando, so I really needed to lean on our management team. But NHBSR made it really easy by providing a PDF of all the questions ahead of time. So I was able to distribute different questions to different people and pull all the answers together. But I can tell you that this time around, I answered almost all of the questions on my own. It was just a matter of getting HR involved for some of those metrics that were required, and then a couple questions off to my boss. But then when I filled out the survey, it was like 15 minutes. It did not take long.
So for us, one of the things we had to start off by saying was that we were just going to do our New Hampshire facility. And I realized other organizations could say they're going to do all of their facilities, which might be out of state as well. But we realized that the job was going to be almost too big and too insurmountable if we wanted to do all of our 100 nationwide facilities. So we just focused on our New Hampshire facility. After determining that, it actually became really fun. It was almost like a scavenger hunt, right? We got to go around the building. We looked for, all of our LED lights versus incandescent lights, and all the, water regulators versus the faucets that didn't have them. And it helped us create a checklist for the things that we could improve. It was really helpful. I worked with somebody from HR as well, so that's definitely a huge tip. Understanding our employee policies was important, and then working with our facility manager to make sure that we had the electric bills and things like that. And it really prompted great conversations. So it was a perfect conversation starter within the organization to start thinking about not just being more sustainable, but also saving money. Right? Because how often do you sit down and you look at your electric bill and say, hey, if we could reduce this, we're reducing greenhouse gas emissions and operating expense. So that was kind of what the process led to.
I think the process really helped us, we kind of already mentioned this, but identify some gaps in our reporting. For instance, we've been managing our greenhouse gas emissions and trying to discourage any unnecessary travel. We purchased offsets in the past, but we really weren't gathering the metrics themselves to try to come up with a mitigation plan in the future. So it kind of inspired us to start doing that. So we're working on that right now.
I'll add on too. I think, we've obviously been talking a lot about the survey itself, which is, pretty easy. And especially, the more you take it, I think, the real, benefit from this truly comes from the benchmarking, like Jesse was mentioning earlier, as well as just like the very solutions oriented reporting that we receive from NHBSR afterwards. And so that's been very, very helpful. I think, having suggestions, like we mentioned earlier, of small actions you can take to really make a big impact is really, really helpful. We obviously have the most intimate knowledge of our business and what's feasible and what's not, what poses a greater challenge to execute in our organization. But I think having that large, broader scope of ideas and solutions brought to you in the form of report afterwards is really, really beneficial. And then you can kind of take a critical eye internally and decide, okay, these are the 3 things we want to focus on for the subsequent year.
Yeah, I'll agree. I mean, the reason that we participated in it was for the report. right? Because you want to see kind of where you stack up. But I'll tell you, as somebody who's an advocate for sustainability within my organization, there's nothing more powerful than getting that report and bringing it back to others at my organization to say, look, we're part of a larger community, and here's what people are doing overall, right? So that report, it's so professional, it looks so good, it's so insightful, and then it has specific measurements how we stack up. And so that right there, it gives credibility to the efforts that advocates like us want to spread the sustainability efforts across our organization, right? So it's credibility, it's measuring where we stand and helping move the entire project forward.
So we know that when you fill this out, you get a general report from just businesses in New Hampshire, and you get the individualized report. Could you talk, and you already sort of talk about the differences between them so people understand that?
The difference in the reporting is you kind of see how New Hampshire businesses are executing against these different sustainability initiatives as a whole. Then you're compared against your size company. So Pete and Jerry's is part of the large company subset. And so you're told, how many different companies fall within your group, and just, how you stack up, basically, how you're comparing to other companies that are the same, within the same size range. From there, then, so that's great comparative information to have. From there, kind of the final individualized report that you're given is, basically areas of opportunity in each distinct impact area. Some just food for thought on, hey, this is where you're not really performing up to par with organizations that are like you, and here's some easier ways to make an impact. Here's some broader goals to look at in the long term. So that was kind of what I was referencing earlier. That individualized report is really, really helpful, since it's a little bit more concrete in what you can impact. But again, it's, seeing how you compare to other organizations in the state is really helpful too. There's a little bit of friendly competition, but it's employees are a resource, and we know that more and more employees are working at organizations that directly align with their personal values, right? You spend all of your time at work. It's got to mean something to you. And so I think that's a really healthy competition mindset to keep in mind, as well as you want to retain your talent and your employees. And so you need to be performing, on par or better with your fellow like state employers, or you're going to lose your talent. That's kind of a, not necessarily the positive spin of it, but it's something to keep in mind. And I think that's what the beauty of NHBSR is we challenge each other to continuously improve.
I love what you said there, Libby. I think you're absolutely right. We're in a real competition for talent right now, and we see that top talent really cares about the values that their business and right. And this is a tool to do another thing that I think we talked about Pete and Jerry's does so well, which is that continuous improvement, right? Because if companies aren't looking to continuously improve in sustainability, then there's not a place somebody who wants to move the sustainability needle forward, right? And that's who we want to employ right now. We want to employ people who are on the cutting edge of our business world and sustainability moving forward. One of the things I think was really eye-opening for us when we first took the Measure What Matters program on back years ago is that there were some areas that we could really improve on that report and help with our employees' retention, development, and leadership. And so we did a couple things that we saw that other companies were doing. One was a tuition reimbursement program, and another was social responsibility days. We took a couple of those things on, and we put another couple of initiatives in place. And as a result of that, when we took the survey a few years later, we stacked up against the best of the workplace organizations, and Mobility Works actually won a sustainability award in 2022. So that's something that we can then use to attract more employees. So it's a roadmap, it's a guide, it's something to help your existing priorities, and then it's something to continue to compete and thrive in this economy. It's just such an awesome tool.
So like I said, you guys have already given us some great examples of how the report helps your sustainability efforts. If you have any other specific examples you want to share, like I said, I know you both gave me some really great ones. But kind of how did the report impact your business, and how did it impact your sustainability efforts?
Well, I think one other thing that the report really does is shows the commitment in New Hampshire to sustainability and how more and more companies are taking it seriously. This isn't just something you do on the side. This is something we have to prioritize and focus on. So for us, it inspired us to revive our corporate social responsibility committee. And it also inspired us to create and distribute our own sustainability report last year. We hadn't done that previously. So, by looking at the white papers, both the aggregate data and then our customized report, bringing that back to the company and saying, hey, we really need to start prioritizing this. It was a way to give credibility to to sustainability efforts in New Hampshire.
So I'll say, with the amount of work that goes into it, and I'm not talking about the work to fill out the survey, I'm talking about the work to maintain the survey and develop the report and have the customized suggestions. It is just amazing that this is free to NHBSR members. It is such an incredible value for businesses, such an amazing tool. I mean, it's a reason to be a member of NHBSR in and of itself. It is free. And so I would really encourage folks to, when you look at all the other tools that are out there, that maybe are more robust, right? The GRI, the B impact assessment, right? These are more robust tools, absolutely, but there's a cost associated with them. The bang for your buck with the Measure What Matters cannot be beat. So I would really recommend that people take advantage of this free report, because you'll get a ton of value out of it.
What advice would you give to other businesses who are considering taking the survey?
I'd say this, right? First, go read the impact report, the 2021 impact report that's right there on the website, on the Measure What Matters website. It'll take you 10 minutes and you'll love it, right? Then just schedule like a Friday meeting with somebody from HR, somebody from your facility department, right? Buy a pizza. It'll cost you $20. And you all sit down together and you'll complete it while you're eating pizza on a Friday. And the value you'll get out of it will transform your organization for the better. That's the advice.
Well, Jesse, what you said even prior to your pizza comment, which is obviously a great idea, is really important too. I mean, it's free. Why would there be hesitation? It does not take a long time. I mean, obviously everyone has a lot going on all the time, but I mean, it's really a very valuable, totally free tool. So why wouldn't you take it? I think too, no matter where your organization is in their journey towards sustainability, it's valuable. Whether you're just starting to track the efforts, it's important to the mission of your company, but maybe you haven't formalized anything yet. It's a great place to start. And you don't have to think of all of the metrics that you want to track. They're there for you in this PDF, in this survey. So from organizations that are just starting on the journey to organizations that are B Corp certified, like Pete and Jerry's, it's an incredible tool, because if you're not measuring yourself at least annually, you really don't have hope for continuous improvement. So it's really, really important. It's just like exercise, right? You just got to keep exercising that sustainability muscle. So it's a great tool, no matter, where you are on your journey.
Libby, I agree. And I think another point is that, more and more contractors, more and more suppliers, partners are having us fill out these kinds of surveys. They're becoming mandatory. So I feel like this is a really good exercise in learning what you need to have ready for those surveys that are going to come up, that you need to continue your business or continue doing business with certain organizations.
Well, like I said, you guys are amazing. Such a wealth of information. Any final thoughts that you want to share, something we might have missed or that you want people to know?
So I'll say this, whether you're an organization trying to transform your culture, you're a new organization just getting started on this path, it's an awesome roadmap. It's not overwhelming. It's easy. It's almost like a checklist. And so I'm really glad that I'm a member. Once again, new again with NHBSR, because I have access to this awesome tool.
Just another note that we've utilized the Measure What Matters survey for is really kind of finally formalizing some ESG goals. And so it's another, all of these efforts are interconnected. And so it's just another kind of, I keep using this word for lack of a better one, but benchmarking tool to help guide you and, in what you can be most impactful on with your ESG goals, with your mission, et cetera. And so it's been really helpful for us too in deciding, okay, in 2022 and 2023 and beyond, like what are the top 5 goals that we can set for ourselves based on kind of the size of our organization, the industry that we're in, and where we know that we can make improvement and need to make improvement. It's been a wonderful tool to help guide us. And like Jesse said, it's truly a really beneficial roadmap.
I guess the only last thing I want to add is Libby mentioned how it's a really great way to track your annual growth, right? I would also encourage companies who have taken it previously. Another good reason to take it, this survey is evolving as we learn more and more. So each year it might tell you something new about your company. So it's not necessarily going to be the same questions every year. They're mostly the same, but we're adding things on as different topics come to light. So I would just encourage you, don't assume that taking it once is all you need.